Kamala Harris is sitting down with Fox News for an interview, the first interview she's ever given to the network. And I think it's a really smart thing for her to do. Let me explain why in 4 simple reasons. Okay, reason number 1. I always think it's good to go into the lion's den, right? A Democrat going on Fox News, because I think a lot of people give you credit for just showing up, for just going. It's the same reason I think Donald Trump should do MSNBC. Like, people, oh my gosh, that's interesting. He's doing that or she's doing that. Wow, that's brave. She's not afraid. She's tough. I think all of those things are smart and good for Kamala Harris politically. I also think that she chose, or the network chose, I'm not exactly sure how it worked, a really good person to do the interview. So this is not Sean Hannity or Laura Ingraham or Jesse Waters doing this interview. It's Bret Baier. Bret Baier is a fair guy. He is a real journalist. He will ask her tough questions, but he will not badger her. They will be fair. He will not give voice to false claims made by Donald Trump about FEMA and hurricanes or situations in Aurora, Colorado, or Springfield, Ohio. He will not play into those conspiracy theories. He will be fair. Yes, he'll be tough. He'll ask her pointed questions. I think that's a good thing. I think people running for president should be asked pointed questions, particularly if what they view, what their views are now are different than what their views were a few years ago, like for Kamala Harris. But again, fair guy on a tough network. I think she wins by just showing up there. So that's 1. Number 2, I think if you asked me, Chris, and I'd say yes, and you said, who are, if I had to describe the undecided voter at this point, who's the majority of those people? And I think I would say Republicans. And these are people who are probably registered Republicans or have voted Republican in the past, but who do not like Donald Trump personally, who find his personality, his approach, his tone, all very off-putting. But they are on the issues probably with him on things like the economy, inflation, immigration, those sorts of things. Who watches Fox News? The answer to that is almost every Republican. There was a Pew study in 2020 that I think it said that 60% of Republicans said that their main source for news, and political news in particular, was Fox. There is nothing like that on the left. Yes, lots of liberals watch MSNBC, but they don't have that kind of mind share. So if you want to reach Republicans, yes, Republican-based Trump voters, but also loosely affiliated Republicans who just, they watch Fox because that's the conservative network. I think this is a really smart move to talk to those people. Because remember, the Donald Trump and honestly the primetime hosts of Fox News like Hannity and Laura Ingraham and Jesse Waters have put out there is that she's this maniac leftist. Trump says she's dumb. She's a Marxist. She wants to ruin the country. She doesn't understand the economy. If you want to combat that, the best place to combat it is where that character of you is being drawn, which is on Fox News. So if Harris comes across as relatively reasonable, not kooky in terms of policy prescriptions, not dumb, which she will not come across as, I think that's a win. And it's a win with the people that you need to win with. Undecided Republicans who do not really like Donald Trump personally, but are still Republicans. Okay, number 3 on why I think this is smart. There aren't really a lot of set pieces left in this campaign. So I'm now convinced we're not going to have another debate. For a long time, I thought we would have at least one more debate between Harris and Trump, but it looks like we're only going to get one because while a couple have been proposed, Trump has rejected all of them, and I don't see him moving off of that position. So Harris obviously can't force Trump to debate, but she also has to realize she's the lesser known of the 2 candidates. People have an opinion about Donald Trump. It's pretty hard and fast. There's still a chunk of people who don't really know what they think of Kamala Harris. And the question is it the character that Fox News paints of her? Or is it something else that they're going to sort of decide what Kamala Harris is? The best way for her to influence those persuadable voters is to make up set pieces, to create set pieces that are going to get a bunch of eyeballs. So she's doing a town hall with CNN later this month. Smart. She's doing this interview. Smart. Because I just think that while the number of people who are going to watch this interview at 6 p.m. Eastern on a Wednesday might not be that high, the number of people who watch it live, this will be a widely shared interview on social media, on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok. Fox will rerun parts of it throughout the day, as will the other cable and broadcast networks. So lots and lots of people are going to see this. Many more people, I think, than we'll see any other interview probably she gives between now and the election, with a possible exception of that CNN town hall later this month. So she needs that. She needs to get out there. She needs to show people who might not have already been for her that she is not, in fact, scary, right? That she is a competent person who they might not agree with on everything, but is normal and will run the country in a normal way, in contrast to Donald Trump. All right, and the last reason number four, why I think this is smart for Kamala Harris to do. Her campaign, in terms of polling momentum and momentum in general, has stalled out a little bit. So I would say from July 21st through at least the middle of September, her campaign was just constantly moving upward, right? Polls nationally in swing states were all moving in her direction. She went from being viewed net unfavorably in the country to being viewed net favorably. You almost never see that with a well-known politician like her. Everything was moving in the right direction. But inevitably, right, summer ends. You got to go back to school. You got to go back to work. In her case, you got to kind of do the hard work of the last few weeks of the campaign. And I think they are in a little bit of a holding pattern. We have seen nationally the race come back a little bit. Harris is still ahead, but by a smaller number. In swing states, particularly in the upper Midwest, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan, Trump has gained ground on Harris over the last month. Race is basically tied in those states. And then in the election projections, the Decision Desk HQ, Nate Silver, they basically have it as a 50-50 race right now, whereas before they had it, 60% chance Harris wins, 40% chance Trump wins. So she does need new momentum. And the way that you build momentum and buzz, you can't always just rely on it just happening. Sometimes you got to create it. Sometimes you got to go out there and make it happen. And I think this interview is an attempt on her campaign's part to make it happen. Because if she is good, I think there'll be a lot of people. Democrats will be excited. She went into Fox News and she told them what was what. And I also think a lot of these loosely affiliated Republicans will say, well, she's not as bad as I've been told she was, and that could create a little bit of a momentum. Now, I will grant, if she does this interview and it bombs, she's terrible, she says something she really shouldn't say, yes, of course we'll look back and say, why did she do that interview? But I'm saying before the interview, I think strategically where she is in the race, which is she needs another little oomph to get over the finish line, I think this is a smart thing to do. So why is it smart? Always good to show you aren't afraid and to go into your opponent's territory and play and do your best. Number two, the undecideds out there are Republicans who like Trump on the issues and don't like Trump personally. She needs to win some of those people. Those people watch Fox News. Number three, she needs to create set pieces where there's lots of eyeballs on a single interview or event. There's not that many things like that left. This is creating one of them. And number four, she stalled. That's five. Four, she stalled a little bit in terms of momentum. So this is a way to rebuild, or at least attempt to rebuild and recreate a little spark, a little momentum, and a little buzz. Make sense? So I ask you to do four things. Four is the theme of this episode. The four things I ask you to do. Number one, subscribe to this channel. It's easy. Hit subscribe. Number two, like this video. It's easy. Just like it. There we go. Number three, comment on this video. Do it for the algorithm. And also, is there something that you think it's either smart or dumb that Kamala Harris is doing this Fox interview? And number four, tell 10 friends about this channel. I need you to spread the word. This is how I'm doing things now. This is me, independent content creator and journalist, Chris Cillizza. I need you and your support and your friends and maybe even your enemies' support. So subscribe, spread the word, evangelize for me, and take care of yourselves.